Madam, come close to.
Chin, just chin, chin.
Madam, आपका तो स्पीकर है नहीं। It's hold, my hold. Center. Not here.
Yeah, just maybe. Nice extensive looks. Very expensive. Not expensive, extensive.
I'm going to join you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And the plan, in fact, is to ensure that we all learn a little more about how Almond specifically, or for that matter, how our choices that we make in terms of our lifestyle, in terms of the decisions, how is it that it can be more holistic? So what we're going to do is, I have a couple of questions in mind. I'll start asking questions first up to Dr. Geetika. I'm going to come to you first.
Sure.
Let's actually get to understand one thing is that, we look at a lot of homegrown brands, or for that matter, international brands. There are a lot of them out there, and all of them come up with some amazing skin products and all. But that being said, that is one side of it. But how about we understand as to exactly what is the most important bit, or what, according to you, is the right approach towards good skin? So let us start with you.
You're very right when you say that. There's so much knowledge out there from these self-proclaimed beauty gurus or skin and health gurus, sometimes right, sometimes wrong.
Look at you. We know that you have an additional pressure to look beautiful. Yes, you are beautiful, but when it comes in front of the camera, when the people want to sort of click your photos, there is always that additional pressure. But that being said, that is all for the media, that's all for the outside. But from the inside, what really is your approach to beauty?
I think firstly, it's not just actors anymore. Now with things like social media, everyone is a model and an actor. Everyone's doing reels and everyone feels the pressure to look good. So firstly, you should not compare yourself to other people, not buy into what the media sells in terms of what is beauty, and follow a definition of what is healthy for you, I'd say. And I truly do believe that good skin, naturally, beauty from within reflects on the outside. I want to have skin that without makeup glows. And now, especially when we're working with high definition cameras, I can see we've got in our home one low definition television and one high. And in the low one, it's all blurry and everyone looks soft focus and very nice. And then, Kunal wants to see HD and everyone, I'm like, oh God, you can see everything on the skin. And people want natural now. In my mother's time, the heroine used to go to sleep with false eyelashes and like big hair and sleep in a sari and wake up like that. Right. And now people are like, that's not real. We want to see real. So people want to look good. Often you're photographed when you're coming out of the gym, you're not wearing makeup. So I want my skin to glow naturally. And I do believe it comes from a variety of things. There's no quick fix. It comes from a good diet and eating nutritional food, avoiding the fatty and the processed things, sleeping well. And that means having a good, schedule when it comes to sleep at night. Try to go to sleep at the same time every night, and have restful sleep, which also comes from a sense of, well-being, or achieving a certain level of balance again when it comes to your emotional and mental well-being, and exercise, of course, which everybody knows that I'm very passionate about. Now, what that exercise is can be different for different people. Some people enjoy dance. I like playing badminton. I do work out as well. I go for a run sometimes. So you can find what it is that makes your heart beat a little faster, right, in a good way, and pursue that. But I do think that the foundation is a good, clean diet as well.
So I think one common takeaway from this particular question that I've shared with all of you is about having a clean diet, having a very good lifestyle, and that comes with a choice. And at the same time, as you had mentioned, getting that workout and getting the right kind of diet inside is all that is required, in order to ensure that we have good skin, whether you're a celebrity or not, but we'd love to all shine, whether there's a camera or not.
Yeah, there's always a camera.
That I agree. All right. So with that, what we'll do is, we're going to shift the focus to my next part of the discussion. And with this, let me actually come to you first, Ritika, because when we look at our routine, just say the moment we wake up, what's the first thing that we have? Probably it's a smartphone. I don't know if we'll have पानी पहले, but पहले हाथ में smartphone आ जाता है कि भाई Instagram में कितना likes मिलेंगे या फिर किसके messages आए. This is what's happening, and that is what is generally happening. You know, we are taking a look at the smartphones. That's somebody's wake-up routine. But at the same time, all these websites, अगर हम ये websites भी देखें और if we listen to certain people as well, there are a lot of tips that are given कि भाई सुबह उठ के ये करो वो करो. Tips are on one side, but because we have an expert over here, I genuinely want to understand as to what exactly does it take to have a good role play in terms of having a good skin health. What is the right thing to do when we wake up? What is the right thing to do when we make the choice of eating the food? So I'd love to hear from the expert.
So I think as all of us just now discussed, that there are three important things. One is of course to have a good balanced diet. The second is of course make sure that the stress levels are low in terms of you're having a good sleep. Exercise is a great stress buster, so you can do that. So there are different ways you can do that, but I always feel that it is, it has to be a holistic approach. You cannot just follow the diet and not do exercise or probably not sleeping adequate. So you have to do all of them, and all of them are equally important. But if you really ask me, as we just discussed about being a nutritionist, of course I can only talk about more about the nutrition point of view. But when I talk about the nutrition, as we just said, that yes, eating a healthy diet has a great impact on your skin health. So make sure that you're eating healthy. And when we talk about health, of course, as I said, the healthy fats, and specifically now that we're talking only about skin care, the certain foods which we just talked about, the healthy fats, are very, very important. And very interestingly, while we were having this thing and I was going through the studies and all, we have this recent paper which is now got released, which is got released in 2021, which definitely talks about the effect of having healthy fat and specifically having almonds on your skin health in terms of the wrinkle intensity, in terms of the pigmentation, which is like a huge problem, especially for females as they age. So this is a study which was published by the University of California, which actually focused on the post-menopausal women, and it found that just substituting your unhealthy snacks with 2 ounces of your almonds every day, over a period of 24 weeks, they saw absolutely very, very drastic changes in their skin complexion in terms of reduction in the wrinkles, reduction in the pigmentation, which was amazing. So just one change in your diet makes all the difference. And of course, as I said, when we talk about it, we should know the science behind it. So it is because of the vitamin E, which we know is the biggest antioxidant. It is because of the polyphenols, which is also a very good antioxidant. And you all get it in that what I call the mini dry food, which is nothing but a superfood for all of us. So just having a handful of it actually can have great impact on your skin health.
Wow. All it takes is just that one change. That's about it. And thank you so much for also sharing across the details about this particular study, because that allows us to also understand that yes, there is more to this and that we can follow it a little more holistically. That being said, Dr. Geetika, I'm going to come to you as well. If you could also let us know, because I must admit one thing for sure, when I came to this particular event here, I'm looking at the skin of all you three and I'm wondering, oh, I wish I would have that skin. And I think somewhere maybe one tip would be enjoy your almonds a little more. So Dr. Geetika, I'm going to come to you. Could you give us a little more insights, in terms of understanding what can one do to maintain good skin health? A little more. Yeah.
See, going back to where you were talking about fast food, one should always remember fast food is also causing something as fast aging, because it has such compounds inside which is causing more and more inflammation, which release more and more oxidative stress, which leads to more aging. So it's very important to start understanding and being mindful with each and every choice we are making, be it with our beverages, be it with our food, be it with picking up your phone, looking at the social media. Let's start being mindful. I think the choice actually starts over there. So to start with, we all have known that vitamin C is a very, very important component for our diet. Not just for application, we talk about vitamin C.
That's the same question. So the best way to have the almonds is, of course, you can soak it, because there are certain researchers which has found that when you soak the almonds, certain nutrient gets better absorbed. So there's no harm in soaking the almonds. But never peel the skin. Chilka utar ke mat khaiye, because remember 1 ounce of almonds has 4 grams of fiber, and fiber is very, very important. Whether we are talking about gut health, whether we are talking about digestion, the fiber content is very, very important. So, just having a handful of almonds, you're getting 4 grams of fiber, which is a huge amount. But जब आप उसका छिलका उतार के खा रहे हैं, तो आप वो fiber को you're actually losing out of the fiber. So never do that. But yes, soaking is not a problem. You can soak your almonds and have it. Wow.
How many of us learned this today? Yes, I'm also going to raise my hand because I learned that as well. I would soak almonds and then would wait, chilka nikal ke khao and be like, oh, it sounds tasty. But now that I learned this, I think the next time I'm just going to have it just the way it is, just the way nature has given it to us, so why not? That means it's easy for us to snack on it as well,
Yes.
right? So we don't have to go hungry while we're busy. A lot of times hota ye hai ki hum excuses dete hain ki yaar main busy ho gayi, I didn't have time to eat. But it's nice to snack on these almonds just the way it is. All right.
What's great is it's got a great shelf life. So it stays in your kitchen for up to 2 years.
Yeah, and it's nice and crunchy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. Super. All right. So with this, what we'll do is we're going to take it to the next leg of the discussion. Agla part jo hai specifically for people who feel they're absolutely busy, especially working women and working mothers as well. So that brings me to the next question, which is, and this is where I'm going to come to you, Soha, as to how do you think can mothers, while we're talking about working women and working mothers, how do you think can they incorporate a holistic beauty regimen in their life? Because it's 24 hours is not enough, is what we all feel, but how do you manage it there?
Firstly, you have to value yourself and understand the importance of health and beauty in your life for yourself. And it's very easy for me to say this because to apply it in practice is a whole different ballgame. Mothers, new mothers especially, tend to put themselves way down on the list. And it's sort of also this like, I need to do, only I can do this, only I can feed my daughter, only I can put her to sleep. I had a few trust issues as well. I really didn't trust anyone else. I said, nobody can do a job like me. So firstly, understanding that you will suffer if you do that. You cannot be everywhere at one time. And 24 hours is not enough, but actually if you think about how much time we waste also, for example, on your smartphones, doing things that you've forgotten why you picked up that phone and an hour has gone by, you can make that time. And it doesn't take long, again. Whether it's a simple kind of cleansing, hydrating, sunscreen, preventive kind of skin regimen, and whether it's smart snacking choices, for example. And this is something I probably picked up from my mother, who was also a working parent, and she had 3 children, I only have 1. And I saw that she, of course, was working in the film profession as well, in a glamour industry, but she would look after herself. And she would look after her diet. And in fact, my incorporating almonds into my diet and into my daughter's diet is because I saw my mother doing that for herself and for us. And in fact, she followed a lot of Ayurveda. And we're talking a lot about scientific journals and reports, but I've also read that in Ayurveda, especially in like the Siddha and the Unani texts, there is a lot of basis already for the importance of almonds and the benefits of almonds in terms of your skin, in terms of its anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidant properties, etc. So coming from that angle, she always gave us as a snack almonds. And as a working parent, one of the reasons I would falter is that I would have my breakfast and then there's a long time between breakfast and lunch, or lunch and dinner. So what do you fill that in when you feel hungry and you feel like you don't have time? And it is the easiest go-to snack. So I always make sure that in my bag I have a handful of almonds, that I have water that is accessible to me, because you feel thirsty and then water is not there, you don't drink it and you move on. Or you fill your thirst with food, for example, or with the wrong kind of beverage. And that's where we go wrong. So I feel like if you make these conscious choices, few choices in your life, if you give yourself that importance, if you understand that first you have to look after yourself, then you'll be better able to look after other people in the long term. Then, of course, things become a lot clearer.
I think that's a lovely point that you shared in terms of valuing yourself first. And
Yeah.
I think no wonder we also get instructions on the flight, right? When it comes to the oxygen mask,
Yeah,
first
yeah.
put it to yourself and then put it to the person next.
Yeah.
I think this is a very important point, especially in the days, in today's gen, wherein we're focusing on what is it that the others want? Okay, taking care of the others, but it all starts with self. So
Yeah.
thank you, Soha. That's a wonderful takeaway. I'm also going to quickly come to you, Dr. Gitika, because the same question, when we
Actually quite easy. It doesn't involve too much time, but I think it starts with a balance between a good diet and sleep, exercise, and I think again, like Dr. Ritika said, where we go wrong is our snacking. So I would say one of the simplest steps that you can take going forward, for example, is replace whatever your snack of choices, try and replace that with a handful of almonds as just a first step going forward, because we like tangible goals. So try and do that and see how that impacts you in the coming days.
tangible goals. So let's start off with a handful of almonds, and then let's see how that
Question. I just want to add to it by saying, of course, now you know all the reasons why it's good for you. Why it works for me is because it's very convenient. because it's also very easily, like I can literally carry it in my bag with me, and the satiating property. I know that if I have a handful of almonds, it keeps me going for those few hours until I have my big meal. What I also find very convenient is with a young child who's going to school, to put it in her tiffin, because my child is going to school from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I have no idea, she has the school lunch, I don't know how much she's eaten. But I know if I put in her tiffin a handful of almonds, and if she eats that, I know that her stomach will be full, I know that she's getting a bunch of these really good micronutrients. And of course I can see personally, having ever since I've been taking almonds my whole life, and you can after you're the age of 1. Because the child has to be 1 year old, and then you can introduce nuts into their diet. From that time, I've been having nuts, and I've introduced them to Inaya, and I can see the benefits of that on my skin, on my health, on my hair.
I also wanted to quickly add another question, because कई बार videos में बोलते हैं you should have a fistful, a handful.
I've had about 12, so I can have 23 minus 12. So, about 30 grams.
So yeah, so ideally we say a handful, and if you actually try it, it's very interesting that a handful of almonds or a fistful of almonds actually gets in about 23 to 25 in numbers, which is the number which you should be having. So that's what is required. So हम जो बचपन में 2-3 बादाम खाते थे, that doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So you should really have, and it's not required that you have to have it all together. You know, you can keep it in your bag, and while you're hungry, you can have it. So you can have that 23 to 25 almonds through the day, rather than trying to finish it up early in the morning as a medicine and gulping it down with water. That's what we've all done it in our childhood, I'm sure. But that's not the way to. You have to actually appreciate the superfood and have it through the day, and I'm sure you get the health benefits.
Okay, any further questions?
Done.
That's a good idea. I think I also do that. I think हम सब वही करेंगे. Bags लेकर let's pick it up.
Why do you think I bought this bag?
That's a smart idea. Any last questions? Any further? Or else, shall we call it a wrap then? Yes?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
On that parami note, let's call it a wrap. And thank you so much कि आप सब यहाँ पे मौजूद हैं. You've all joined us in some wonderful questions. इसकी वजह से even I managed to learn something more. But on that note, thank you, Dr. Geetika. And with the, yes, sir, जी, वो तो होने वाला है.
Center look में बाउल right. Yeah.
Left to right.
हो गया भाई फोटो. Center look please. वीडियो भी लेना है.
All of you here.
फोटो के.
Swagam here please. Yeah. All of you center please. Yes. Yes. Madam here. Yes. Madam here.
Solo.
Solo.